All right, welcome back to Morning Live. Now, Rwanda has emerged as one of Africa's fastest growing economies in recent years, attracting a growing number of investors who want to set up businesses in the country. According to the International Monetary Fund, IMF, Rwanda has seen economic growth averaging more than 7% every year since 2000. Now, Rwanda's economy is expected to grow by 7.8% in 2019, helped by farming, mining and construction. Over 2 decades after the 1994 genocide, Rwandan President Paul Kagame has been hailed for the economic recovery, but rights groups say he has muzzled independent media and suppressed opponents, sentiments the government rejects. So in studio, I'm joined by Calvin Judisi. He's been here with me. And of course, now, when you talk about the fastest growing economy, one of the fastest growing economy in Africa, it's surprising, actually. Not so many economists actually just say about, it's true about Rwanda. But what do you think catapulted this process?
Yeah, I mean, so number one, Rwanda is a very robust country, and being, we can start with this. Rwanda has a very small population of around 12.2 million. This I think that will be like Nairobi and maybe one of the cities combined. So, but I think that Rwanda having gone through genocide, and that really affected Rwanda so highly. And they needed to recollect back. And President Kagame has done a lot of stuff, and he's a dedicated leader. Yeah, definitely there's going to be always, people are saying, negative stuff about, what you do and all that. But he's been very committed in the drive of Rwanda's growth. So if you look at the recent rating, I think it was last year's ease of doing business rating. Rwanda moved from 41 actually in the global index to 29. And I think is one of the top. They're one of the top with South Africa and Mauritius as the ease of doing business globally. So passing Kenya and even Uganda by very fast. So which means that Rwanda puts itself at a very strategic platform where it can actually attract investment. And what you can see if you've been to Rwanda, and because I interact a lot with businesses in Rwanda as well, and what you can see is that there's a lot of there's a lot of system laid. So right now, if you look at Rwanda, high schools are actually taught English. They're moving from this French system to more English. You find that a high school student in Rwanda actually speaks good English compared to even a university students in Rwanda, because the university students were still doing the French system. So in the next actually 10 years, Rwanda actually will be English speaking country. The majority of people will be speaking, and that would even ease in terms of communication, in terms of investment, and Maki, that Rwanda still has like one of the youngest population. If you go to some of the government sectors and all that, and even the entire leadership of Rwanda, you find that most of these young people who are passionate about Rwanda, who want to see the Rwanda at the next level, and so that's the reason why it becomes that attractive.
Wow, interesting. They've been banning everything.
Yeah.
And you see, sometimes the economic value can be altered in banning something. You know what that means.
Yeah.
Products, of course, the imports mostly.
Yeah.
Now, second-hand clothes, they've been banning second-hand cars.
Yeah.
In fact, the people who love bleaching themselves, everything has been banned in that country. Now, as a fast-growing economy, and you're trying to get rid of these things that actually create employment, is it wise to now revolve around that cycle? Because now, it's not very good for some people. That means unemployment. When someone is maybe gets his or her daily bread on importing cars, second-hand cars, that means it's out.
Yeah,
someone has a shop maybe selling whatever bleaching agents. It's out. Yeah.
No, I think obviously every country has its own policies and what they want to drive, and every country has its vision. Rwanda is the most visionary country under the leadership of Kagame right now, and being it's a visionary country, they actually have plans. They have master plans. There's something they want to see, and when you come to banning stuff and for example the second-hand, let's say the second-hand clothes, the second-hand cars, what you're looking at as a country is what alternative have you been able to create? If you know that if I ban importing second-hand clothes, I'm going to cause probably lack of employment on this number of people, then I'm going to bring alternative. And so Rwanda has brought that kind of alternative. And, Rwanda is very strong in terms of, hospitality and now manufacturing and even construction. Because you can see, like, right now Rwanda has the biggest the biggest plan for expanding its airport, so they're constructing a new airport that will going to be very big than even our JK. So you can say that they're actually diversing. And for me, I think things like banning plastics and all that, I think that's key. If you go to Rwanda today, Rwanda is one of the cleanest countries. I mean, Rwanda is one of the cleanest. Yeah, almost the world, if not the world, but almost the world. So that tells you that there's something, despite it's a small country, there's something that actually we can be able to copy from, and that kind of leadership. And they're also very strategic. If you look at the way they've been doing their things, recently, if you're a fan of Arsenal, you know recently that Rwanda signed a partnership deal with Arsenal worth around 30 million US dollars, 30 million pounds, and this was Visit Rwanda. So that's why you see, if you look at the Arsenal guys playing, there's on the badges there's written Visit Rwanda. But you look at that strategy, and that's a very strong economic strategy, because most people actually are going to be interested to, I want to go and visit Rwanda, I want to invest in Rwanda. So for me, I think they're very strategic, they're very visionary, and that's where even most African countries should go.
Okay. Now, when you talk about issues with neighbors, of course, President Paul Kagame has been having so many issues with Museveni, with Nkurunziza, and also, as you know very well, he's been muzzling opposition leaders in the country, detaining them. Now, for a successful democratic country, I think it's ideal for you to be kind of peaceful also internally and of course externally. Now, this is a clear indication that as much as the economy is growing, you need people. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't support that, and definitely that's something that as a leadership, it's something that it should be able to to kind of up and like reduce, because even as a president or even as a person, you need to leave a legacy, and what I think, and I think it's really tried in terms of especially Burundi. Rwanda has been having a lot of problem with Burundi,
big time,
until you can't really cross. If your Rwandese going to Burundi is always a problem, and yet they're very close neighbors. But again, he's really, he's really trying to bring that pace. He's really, you remember the opposition, the opposition leader, the lady who was vying, Diana, was trying to vie for president. She was locked, and actually she was released as well.
It's
so
true.
I think, despite there's all those there's all those pressures and pressure and all that, but obviously because the world is a global village, he actually gets the pressure from different countries, from international media, from international international countries, different diplomats and all that, and so I'm sure that's something that is changing over time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, economically, when you talk about Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, these countries of East African countries, Rwanda came from nowhere.
Yeah.
Of course, we still have the other side. We have Ethiopia kind of doing very well. Their airlines actually doing very well. They're constructing the biggest actually airport in the region. But back home, when you look at Kenya itself, what can we borrow? Because now, when you look at the headlines, billions of shillings being lost in every corner, dam project, so many things, cabinet secretaries being allegedly blamed for misappropriation of funds. What do you think about now our economy as Kenya, and also as much as we're trying to compete with our neighbors, where integrity is a very, very big value? What do you think about the whole situation?
Kenya is a great country, and this is our country, and it's a great country, has great potentials, and still it's one of the biggest economies actually in Africa as well. Rwanda can't compare. They can't really compare with us. Kenya is still a very big economy, but what I can say is that we need, apart from the normal, say, like, let's fight corruption and all that. So I think what we need is more like integrity. We need, we need self-talk. Like, I'm in leadership. If I'm a CS, or I'm in any leadership position where actually I'm the one who handled this, is like, am I doing that for my, I mean, is it a good thing? Am I doing it for myself, or am I doing it for my country?
Sure.
So I think we need self-talk a lot, you know. Yes, we've always talked about fighting corruption. That everybody will talk about, you know. And President Uhuru Kenyatta has really tried in his recent, you know, since the handshake, and they've been the key agenda has always been fighting corruption, which, I mean, they've really tried. But I think it's upon ourselves to be able to be patriots, you know, and to be able to know that this is our country, and this is a country that we want to leave to our children's children and even our next generation. And this is a country that's competing to the world, you know. Kenya is still one of the best countries that everybody wants to visit, everyone wants to do business. Most people are actually coming to set businesses here. So I think it's all about self-talk. And that's where people like, you know, countries like Rwanda passes us, because there's a very strong integrity in Rwanda, and people are very, you know, people are corruption nonsense. You know, Rwanda was actually listed as 48th least corrupt country in the world. So that tells you how far Rwanda has been able to go in terms of corruption. And corruption does not come because a country put a lot of effort in terms of policing people and saying monitoring, but actually it starts with integrity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you're not a political analyst, but I understand with these billions all over, taxpayers, of course, at the end of the day, are burdened. But you see, the handshake, do you think there's no one who's keeping the government in check? That's why you're having so many billions now going.
No, I don't think even the handshake should keep government in check. I mean, we have a government.
No, the agents who were supposed to act as opposition leaders, who were supposed to actually keep the government in check. Do you think now there are reasons why they're not even available, not even looking for any like loopholes? That's the reason why we're losing so many billions of shillings.
No, I mean, for me, I can say no. I mean, the reason why I'm saying no is because there shouldn't be anybody that's keeping government in check. It's like today, I mean, in your house, there should be anybody who's always checking on you in your house. You know, you are the one to know, this is my house, you know, this is what I want to do with my house. This is how I want to move. The next, probably maybe you're staying in a bedsitter, you're saying next time, maybe in the next 2 years, I want to move to 1 bedroom, or maybe I want to build my own house, or I want to do, that is your house. You don't need your mother actually to always call you and say, hey, you know, you've been living in a bedsitter for the last 10 years. Can you move to 1 bedroom?
Sure.
So things like government being kept in check, I think those are just excuses, you know. And what the government need to do is just strengthen its work, even, and we have a very strong anti-corruption, you know, government organization. So they need to put a lot of emphasis and do their work very well. And the judiciary also, which has always been blamed so much, the judiciary should also do their work very well. So if everybody did their work, then we should not be talking about all this government check and, you know, there's no opposition, so people are stealing. We need a government that knows where it wants to go and knows where it wants to take its people, and that's a key thing.
Now, what can Kenya borrow from Rwanda? Because already Rwanda conspicuously are doing well, the economy is fastest growing, and now Kenya, of course, as much as we're strategically placed geographically, and every European diplomat wants to come through Kenya, do their thing in Kenya. Few things, tourism also doing not so doing actually badly, but now when Rwanda is kind of becoming a threat to become one of the best economies in the region, what should Kenya borrow from that country?
So I think Kenya need to borrow a couple of stuff. So number one, Kenya need to really understand the ease of doing business. They need to borrow a lot of, why is it easy for someone to come and invest in business in Rwanda? And so they need to understand that if today we have a deal with, for example, a multinational company, they say want to set up a plant here, and they don't see the, you know, they don't get the deal, then they will say, okay, you know, we don't like you, Kenya. You guys are not good in terms of doing business. We're going to set up in Rwanda. So that's actually going to really increase the economy of Rwanda, and it's going to create more jobs and all that. And if you look at Rwanda right now, there's only 16% of unemployment, which, while in Kenya it's far much, you know, it's far much. I think almost 25% going up. So what Kenya need to borrow is ease of doing business. They need to understand, why is Rwanda very easy for people to do business? Why is it easy for people to? And then number two, obviously, is integrity. They need to understand, why don't we hear corruption cases in Rwanda at that, you know, at that massive level. You know, every time you read in the newspapers here in Kenya, you'll always have to read somewhere that it's written, I don't know how many millions or how many billions have got lost. So I think those are some of the key things that they need to understand. And also they need to probably just understand how the leadership system is in Rwanda, and how the government is trying to put everybody in check, and what they're doing. So for me, I think that's the key thing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Calvin Judisi, for coming to studio. And of course, we'll see you soon again.
Thank you.
I think that will be I think on Monday again. We'll see you soon.
Thank you
so, and of course, we've been having our sign language interpreters, Mr. Michael Maidhia and Teresia Washira, taking us through this session. Up next, we'll be talking about the issues affecting first responders. That is actually dealing with grief, and of course, in the workplaces, how you can actually maneuver through. And of course, our sign language interpreter for the next session will be Evelyn Wangui. So stay tuned to Morning Live.